At daybreak on April 6, 1862, Confederate forces under the command of Generals P.G.T. Beauregard and Albert Sidney Johnston launched a bold surprise attack on the Union Army, commanded by Major General Ulysses S. Grant. The Battle of Shiloh. Personal recollections from generals to privates. In the evening of April 6th, a few of General Buell's troops had arrived and were placed in position. During the night, the boats brought the balance of Buell's army across the Tennessee River, and they were in line of battle ere the break of day. Volumes have been written about the Battle of Shiloh. Some think Buell's army saved us. Of course, they helped to win the second day's battle. Still, there is nothing to prove that General Grant's army would not have won without their assistance on the next day. Let me quote what I wrote over 50 years ago when it was fresh in my mind. Some think it was Buell's army that saved the army of General Grant from total destruction. I think otherwise, and my reason is this. We had been driven back so near the river that our lines were concentrated as before they were scattered. During the night, General Grant and his aides had perfected their line of battle, and General Lew Wallace's division had arrived from Crump's Landing, and every man left in the line knew that to retreat another foot meant total annihilation, and the words, "We must whip them in the morning," were upon every man's lips. The enemy was badly hurt, and General Grant knew it and felt confident that victory must be ours on the morrow. The morning light had scarcely come on the 7th of April when the roar of artillery announced the opening of the second day's battle. The command forward was given, and the entire line moved forward. We were the aggressors today and made the first attack. Fighting continued steadily, the enemy yielding every foot with grave reluctance, stubbornly holding their ground, until 12 o'clock, when a general charge was made and the tide of battle was turned in favor of the Union forces. During this charge, Will fell to the ground thinking he was shot through the leg, for it hurt so badly he couldn't stand up. He pulled up his trousers to see where the minie ball had struck him, to find that the ball had only grazed his shin bone, cutting a nice clean hole through his pants, but not bringing a drop of blood. Will was disgusted that he should fall out with just a bruised shin bone, and jumping up he went limping after his company. By 3 o'clock, General Beauregard, who was now in command of the Confederate forces, gave the order for a retreat. They kept up a fight to cover their retreat until night, but when darkness came, we were in possession of our old camps, where we bivouacked, filled as they were with the dead of both armies. We had no difficulty in sleeping well, even though the silent dead lay all about us. The dead do not disturb us. It is the living we should be afraid of. We built fires and cooked our frugal meal, and after eating we gathered round the campfire and recounted the deeds of valor done during the great battle, speaking kind words of our brave comrades who had fallen. A few Silby tents, torn and riddled by shot and shell, were all we had left. I lost my shirts, blankets, letters from home, my testament, mother's gift, and a picture of the girl I left behind. I was more indignant over the loss of my girl's picture than I was over the other articles. On Tuesday, I was detailed with others to bury the dead lying within our camp, and a distance of 200 yards in advance. I had charge of digging the grave, if a trench over 60 feet long and 4 feet deep can be called a grave. The weather was hot, and most of the dead had been killed early Sunday morning, and dissolution had already commenced. The soldiers gathered the bodies up and placed them in wagons, hauling them near to the trench and piling them up like cordwood. We were furnished with plenty of whiskey, and the boys believed that it would have been impossible to have performed the job without it. When the grave was ready, we placed the bodies therein, 2 deep, the father, brother, husband, and lover, all to lie till Gabriel's trumpet shall sound. All the monument reared to those brave men was a board nailed to a tree at the head of the trench, upon which I cut with my pocket-knife the words, 125 rebels. We buried our Union boys in a separate trench, and on another board were these words, 35 Union. Many of our men had been taken away and buried separately by their comrades. It was night when we finished the task. Some of the squad half seas over with liquor, but they could not be blamed, for it was a hard job.